What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. This is day 2 of Innistrad Midnight Hunt. Spoilers, not day 2. Day 2 of me making videos on it. Today we're going to be covering blue. So this is like my first impressions on all the cards. I haven't looked at any of them. But before we start the video, I want to know, should I make a Patreon? I mean, probably not. But if any of you guys would be interested in that, definitely leave a comment down below. And make sure you subscribe so you can join the Curvy Gang. And yeah, let's just hop right into this video. So starting with Curse of Surveillance. It's a 5-drop for 4 and a blue. Enchantment or a curse. Enchant player. At the beginning of enchanted player's upkeep, any number of target players other than that player each draws cards equal to the number of curses attached to that player. Okay, so these cards, I'm only going to be going over the ones that I think are good for EDH, which is Commander. So this card right here, in this set, looks like they're printing a lot of aura curses, so you enchant people with those. So let's read this again. At the beginning of enchanted player's upkeep, any number of target players other than that player draws cards. Okay, so I don't think this card is that great, just because of the fact that everyone's going to do it. Obviously, if you have a group hug deck, this could go in there, I guess. But you're only slowing down one person and helping everybody else out, so it's not that good. Next up, we got Patrician Geist. It is a 3-drop for 2 and a blue. Creature Spirit Knight, flying 2/2. Other spirits you control get +1/+1. And spells you cast from your graveyard cost 1 less to cast. I think this card's really good. So Spirit Tribal's been it's been around before, like boosting your other spirits. So this card's good for that. I don't think there's really a significant commander, so hopefully we'll see one of those in this set. But also the graveyard reduction cost is really nice just for a 3-drop. Yeah, that card's pretty good, especially if you're running spirits like a Kaikar deck. You can put that in there. That'd be really good in there. Next up, we have Sludge Monster for 3 and 2 blues. It's a creature horror 5/5. And whenever Sludge Monster enters the battlefield or attacks, put a slime counter on up to one other target creature. And then it says non-horror creatures with slime counters on them lose all abilities and have base power and toughness 2/2. Okay, so in Commander, when this enters the battlefield, you're going to put a slime counter on probably someone else's commander, and that's just going to turn it into a 2/2 with no abilities. So that's pretty powerful, especially if you have a way to just keep attacking with this, which is a 5/5. That's a pretty big body. So if you can ramp this out early and turn everyone's commander into a 2/2, that would just be hilariously broken. I think this card's pretty good, especially if you can ramp it out. If you somehow got this card out on turn 3, like you played a Soul Ring and then you drop this, and you just turn someone, if they have their commanders out, or just start slowing them down by so much. Yeah, this card's good in Commander. All right, next up we have Spectral Adversary. I'm gonna go to this one down here. It is a 2-drop for 1 and a blue. Creature Spirit, flash flying 2/1. When Spectral Adversary enters the battlefield, you may pay 1 and a blue any number of times. When you pay that cost 1 or more times, put that many +1/+1 counters on Spectral Adversary. Then put up to that many other target artifact creatures and or enchantments phase out. So phasing out is you basically treat them and anything that's attached to them like they're not there until its controller's next turn. So this does say any number of creatures, or not any number of creatures, but it doesn't have to target your stuff. Like, you can target your opponent's stuff. So I do think this card could come in handy in a few commander decks. If you're running +1/+1 counters, this can put +1/+1s on itself. Yeah, it's a decent card. The flying body's nice too, and the flash effect is good. So even if you just drop this as a 2/1 flying flash, that's not a horrible rate for 2. So yeah, it's an okay card. It's also a spirit, so if you're running Spirit Tribal, that's a thing. Next up, we have Puppet Stitcher. For 2 and 1 blue, it's a 2/3 human wizard creature. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, make a 2/2 black zombie creature with token with Decaying. Okay, I'm already a fan of this card. Decaying means it can't block, and when it attacks, sacrifice it at the end of combat. Okay? At the beginning of your upkeep, if you control 3 or more creature tokens, you may transform Puppet Stitcher. Okay, let's see what it transforms into. It's an artifact. Creature tokens you control lose all abilities and have base power and toughness 3/3. Okay, so all those 2/2 zombies with Decaying are now 3/3s. And at the beginning of your upkeep, you may transform Puppet Factory. Okay, so I think this card's good, especially if you're running a bunch of instant or sorceries, like you have a spell slinger commander deck. Yeah, throw this in there, because eventually, if you flip it over with like 5 2/2s, all of a sudden you have 15 power on the board. Because it's going to go from 10 to 15, no decaying, and then you have the option to flip it back in case you ever need more. Yeah, that card's good. I like it. All right, next up we have Grafted Identity. It's for 2 and 2 blues. Enchantment Aura. As an additional cost to cast this spell, sacrifice a creature. Okay. Enchant creature. You control enchanted creature. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1. Okay, so there are auras like this for 4 that just say enchant creature, you control enchanted creature, but it doesn't give them +1/+1, and you have to sacrifice a creature. So in most decks, I'd say in basically every deck, like the other aura is better, but maybe I don't exactly know like the price on this card. So if you have a token deck, like you could just sacrifice a token, or you have like something like Puppet Stitcher in your deck. Obviously, you just sacrifice one of the 2/2 zombies, and now you have, whatever creature you want. You can seal someone's commander. That's going to set them back a whole lot. So yeah, I think this card's good. All right, next up we have Triskatica Kaphile. All right, kind of sounds like Triskatica Phobia, which is one of my favorite cards. It's a 2-drop for 1 and a blue creature, human wizard. You have no maximum hand size, and it's a 1/3. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you have exactly 13 or more cards in your hand, you win the game. Okay, this card's broken, and you can pay for it to draw. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of this card. Triskatica means like the fear of 13, just like a kind of a cool fact for you. Yeah, reaching 13 cards in a commander deck that's supposed to do that is not that hard, and you have no maximum hand size. Any card that says that, it's already decent. That's a good card. Definitely going to be picking up a copy of that card because that card just sounds broken. Yeah, I'm a big fan of that. All right. Next up, we have Covetous Castaway. For 1 and a blue, it's a creature human 1/3. When Covetous Castaway dies, mill 3 cards, and it has Disturb for 3 and 2 blues, which means you can cast this card from your graveyard transformed for its Disturb cost. Okay, let's see what it flips into. So for 5, you're going to be casting a 3/4 flying. When it enters the battlefield, you may shuffle up to 3 target cards from your graveyard into your library. And if this would be put into your graveyard for enemy, exile it instead. This card's not that great. I don't think it's that great. I'm going to just be honest, it's not that good. Next up, we have Mysterious Tome. For 2 and a blue, it's an artifact. You can pay 2, tap it, draw a card, transform it. Okay, let's see what it transforms into. Artifact, 1, tap it, tap target, non-land permanent, transform it. Okay, this card's not that good either. We just have better cards than this. Like Maze Mind Tome can pay 2 to draw, or you can just tap it to scry, and then you gain 4 life eventually after 4 times of doing that. In one-on-one, this tap ability is better, but in Commander, you have 3 opponents, not 1, so just tapping down one person's stuff, like you still have 2 other people's stuff to worry about. It's not that great. Next up, we have Ominous Roost. For 2 and a blue, you get an enchantment that says when Ominous Roost enters the battlefield, or whenever you cast a spell from your graveyard, make a 1/1 blue bird creature token with flying, and this creature can block only creatures with flying. Okay, if you're casting stuff from your graveyard, this card's pretty good, but like how much stuff are you going to be casting? Put this in a Muldrotha deck? Yeah, that's a really good card. You're going to make a 5 1/1 birds like pretty consistently with that in a Muldrotha deck, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, that's a good card. It's not like super broken or anything, but it's pretty good. All right, next up we have Consider. For 1, it's an instant. You may look, or not you may. It says look at the top card of your library. You may put that card into your graveyard, then draw. That's a pretty good draw spell if you have a graveyard theme in your deck. I like this, cause yeah, it's just it's okay. Or if you want to be manipulating the top card of your library as well, it's good. Next up, we have Larder Zombie. It's a 1-drop, 1/3 defender zombie. Tap 3 untapped creatures you control. Look at the top card of your library. You may put that card into your graveyard. Okay, so I could see this going in a deck like a Muldrotha deck again, or if you have Ladder Zombie paired with something like Puppet Stitcher, which the more I think about it, this card just becomes better and better because of the tokens and stuff. So yeah, that's a really good card. But yeah, that could be something that you could do in your deck if you have that Puppet Stitcher card and then Ladder Zombie, so it's okay. And the last blue card is Visions of Duplicity. Okay. It's for 2 and a blue. It's a sorcery. Exchange control of 2 target creatures you don't control. Okay. And it has flashback. This spell costs X less to cast. This way, when you cast it on the flashback, where X is the greatest mana value of commanders you own on the battlefield or in the command zone, and then flashback is you can cast it from your graveyard and then exile it for its flashback cost. Exchange control of 2 target creatures you don't control. Okay, so you're swapping your opponent's creatures. So this would be good if one of your opponent's super in head and then, you know, they're just like pounding on the other opponent. Your other opponent can't really get anywhere, and then you give them, or you could, okay, so I just thought a better idea for this card. You could swap 2 people's commanders that are not supposed to be in the other decks, and then the other decks are just completely desynergized. So yeah, that's where this card would really shine, situations like that. I think it's pretty decent, definitely a fun card, so I am a big fan of this. And that's it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Remember to like and subscribe, join the Kirby gang, and we'll catch you in the next video.